The Secret Gardens, we soak in the spectacular scenery of Lake Tahoe, where an early resident preserved the land's rugged beauty in his secret garden.
His legacy has opened up a wonderland for the public to see now.
Also, natural wonders take flight in a secluded backyard sanctuary. And later, a new treasure arrives in a lakeside garden. Our private tour is just ahead on the Secret Gardens. Resting high in the mountains along the California-Nevada border, Lake Tahoe takes its name from a Native American word meaning lake of the sky. And centuries after the name was first used, there is no better way to describe this magnificent lake. Its sparkling waters ripple across 195 square miles, making Lake Tahoe the largest alpine lake in North America. And hidden away in this pristine landscape, a secret garden is chiseled right into the lake's rocky shores.
Most people are amazed that even when they're coming to the site by boat, that they really don't see the site until they're right up on it because it blends so well.
What at first glance appears to be a natural landscape is really the creation of an eccentric millionaire named George Whittle, who came to Lake Tahoe in the 1930s.
But he acquired land at a time when no one else was acquiring large tracts of land in Lake Tahoe. So by the time 1936, he had acquired 1/3 of Lake Tahoe at that time, 27 miles of shoreline and over 40,000 acres.
Whittle chose this secluded cove on the North Shore as a site for his summer home. He named his estate Thunderbird Lodge, and he surrounded it with a garden that preserves the pristine beauty of the landscape. The entrance to this grand garden is marked by a little stone gatehouse, which sits at the start of a winding forest road.
There's not hardly a straight section on the whole road. He wound it around the boulders, so there's 30, 40-foot boulders on both sides of you.
A peek behind the granite boulders reveals spectacular views of the lake. But the most breathtaking vista is unveiled only when the road stops at the top of a waterfall, overlooking Thunderbird Lodge.
The very top of the waterfall, the crest, starts 3 stories above the main lodge, cascades down through 4 different ponds, and then once it gets to that point, it then enters into kind of its own little secret grotto system that then puts waterfalls out all over the site.
Alongside the waterfall, stone pathways wind past fragrant incense cedars and sugar pines that fill the air with their woodsy fragrance. But there's a sweet scent in this forest as well that smells a little like fresh-baked cookies. Its source is a mystery until you come nose to trunk with a Jeffrey pine.
And if you came up and took a big whiff in there, you'd find an incredible smell of vanilla come out of the bark itself. And to most people, the association they would never have with a pine tree.
Winding away from the forest, stone pathways make their way to the water's edge and a series of hidden garden playgrounds. One path leads to a stone wishing well, while another reveals a private swimming lagoon. But the most secret path dips 3 stories underground, leading to a hidden treasure that's an unexpected delight for visitors to a garden.
Most people's jaw just drops when they open that door there and see this 50-foot mahogany hacker craft there that George Whitell had commissioned in 1939. Once we get people to the boathouse, we can never get them out.
Leaving the boathouse, a winding pathway known as the Dragon's Tail slithers through a boulder field and onto a bridge with a jagged surprise.
Well, now we've walked out onto the Dragon Bridge itself, and if you look down here below, you'll see this is actually the jaws of the dragon. And you can actually see where the stonemasons have come and set the stone on vertical edge to resemble the teeth.
Across from the Dragon Bridge, a stone gazebo offers shelter from the wind and a chance to take in a pristine view of Lake Tahoe's past.
You can go around any other part of this lake and you'll see condos, wall-to-wall condos, you'll see fencing, keep-out signs, and yet George on this part of the lake here, his legacy has opened up a wonderland for the public to see now.
Carved into natural rock and wrapped in unspoiled scenery, the gardens at Thunderbird Lodge preserve a rare and vanishing beauty. They capture the essence of the landscape, just as the water of Lake Tahoe captures the beauty of the vast Nevada sky. Coming up, golden meadows paint a magical backdrop for a secluded... Nestled into a quiet cove, Emerald Bay provides a private escape on the busy shores of Lake Tahoe. This tranquil inlet holds the lake's only island, and its picturesque setting is one of Lake Tahoe's most photographed scenes. Just inland from the bay, in the town of South Lake Tahoe, another spectacular view is often missed by shutterbugs who come to take in Lake Tahoe's beautiful scenery.
Oh, I think the view has pretty much shaped our life here because we've spent all these years still enjoying it and trying to take advantage of it wherever we can.
For more than a quarter century, Fiona Cowan has slowly coaxed the yard surrounding her home into a garden that frames stunning views of golden meadows and mountain peaks. But while beautiful vistas come easily around Lake Tahoe, beautiful gardens do not.
The altitude, very short growing days, late frosts, wind, it's terrible soil, decomposed granite. Oh, the list's endless, but that's enough to start with, I think.
But it's clear from the first glimpse that Fiona has discovered the secret to high-altitude gardening. Even the roadside along her fence blossoms with color. Red poppies, orange lilies, soft delphiniums, and plum-colored clematis cling to the fence and compete for attention. Just beyond the fence, an emerald lawn leads to a path that disappears into a shady glen, where lush hostas create a leafy haven for shade-loving plants. Ferns, foxglove, daisies, and yarrow thrive here in the dappled sunlight. Resting on a hidden bench in the shade, it's hard to believe this used to be a place to soak up the sun. But the tall ponderosa pines surrounding the garden grow at the amazing rate of 1 foot a year. And as the trees grow, so do the shadows they cast over the garden.
When we first came, all the trees that you see, they were 27 feet shorter. And they've grown considerably, and as they've grown, they've changed the whole aspect of the garden.
But one tree no longer casts a shadow over the garden. A bench now rests on top of a stump that was left when a 90-foot pine was struck by lightning.
So we built a little viewing platform up there, and that's another special little place to sit and just enjoy the river and the meadow.
More views can be found around the back of the home, where reflections of sky are captured in the ripples of a pond, and colorful sprigs of astilbe and snakeroot sway with a hammock in the cool mountain breeze. And while this may seem the perfect place to linger, a gazebo hidden at the edge of the property is Fiona's favorite spot for enjoying the late afternoon sun.
Oh, glorious golden lights and long, long shadows. I just love it in the evening.
Leaving the gazebo, the garden seems to vanish into the landscape, disappearing into a horizon of mountains and sky. Working in harmony with her surroundings, Fiona has conquered the challenges of high-altitude gardening. Her garden is a beautiful blend of nature and nurture, tucked into the golden meadows of Lake Tahoe. Still ahead, the ancient garden secret to leaving your worries behind.
The idea of it being that when you enter the garden, you would tie your troubles up.
And later, we'll relax and enjoy a view of the harbor. The Secret Gardens returns in a moment. Bathed in warm sunshine and clear blue skies, Lake Tahoe is an ideal summer playground for outdoor enthusiasts. On warm afternoons, the lake comes alive as an endless display of watercraft whisks across the water. And hidden away near the lake's warm southern shore, a garden fills a private backyard with the graceful flurry of nature.
We sit and watch the birds all day, and they're just they're a big part of the garden.
Although their home is in a growing neighborhood, Tom and Sheila Walker have created a secluded garden that preserves the wild beauty of Lake Tahoe. Wrapped in a cedar fence and protected by tall stands of pine, the garden is easily discovered by birds, but it always comes as a welcome surprise to people.
When I walk in, and it always stops me, I stop, and it always puts a smile on my face, you know, even though it's my own garden.
A veil of blossoming hops drapes itself over the gate that leads into this wooded sanctuary. Just inside, a path meanders past an informal cottage garden leading to an open lawn. It's here that Tom has placed his homemade bird feeder to feed the ever-growing flock of stellar jays and fan-tailed pigeons.
The least little sound or motion, they'll all fly off. And they're only gone for about 5 minutes, and they'll start falling out of the sky again and devouring the seed more.
Just beyond the bird feeder, a pair of sculpted manzanita trees casts mystic shadows on the ground, marking the start of an exotic landscape.
That's kind of the transition between the cottage garden and the Zen garden are these manzanitas that have kind of a bonsai look to them.
In the Zen garden, the bright hues of flowers make way for a soothing color scheme of white and green, and a wooden bridge leads to a surprise. In this quiet Zen landscape, the riverbed runs dry.
The dry creek beds give the illusion of a creek, and then it ends in a pond, so you know, when you first look at it, you know it's a creek. It's kind of peaceful too, you know. The dry creek beds give a sense of peace to the garden.
In this serene setting, an unexpected trickle of water emerges from a stone pillar, and a little rock sitting near the path holds an ancient secret.
This is a Zen trouble rock. It was sent to me by a cousin in North Carolina, and the idea of it being that when you enter the garden, you would tie your troubles up, and that way you come into the garden, you enjoy the garden, and then when you leave, you can either leave your troubles right here, or you can pick them up and take them with you, but most people choose to leave them here.
With worries left behind, there's one more remarkable view of the garden to discover. One that only reveals itself when you're looking the other way.
Oh, this is a mirror. It's kind of a fisheye mirror that you gaze into it. It's kind of a gazing mirror, and you can see the whole garden within this little 1 foot around mirror, and it kind of just brings the whole garden into one little focus.
No matter what the view, Tom and Sheila's garden is a hidden sanctuary of natural wonders and mystical discoveries. It's a place of solitude and quiet contemplation, hidden near the busy southern shore of Lake Tahoe. Coming up, a splash of color that's growing right on the shores of Lake Tahoe.
Kind of like a Alice in Wonderland garden.
The Secret Gardens returns in a moment. Even from the vantage point of a hot air balloon, the sheer size of Lake Tahoe is hard to take in. The lake straddles 22 miles of the California-Nevada border, stretching for 12 miles from side to side. And hidden away in California, on Lake Tahoe's western shore, a secret garden blossoms with surprising splashes of color.
Well, you come off the highway, and you just kind of come into the driveway, and then all of a sudden it's here. Kind of like a Alice in Wonderland garden.
Over the past 8 years, Kay Turner has wrapped her lakeside home in a blanket of colorful flowers. And while there are a few hints of the garden splendors out front, this is a hidden treasure that's best discovered from the lake.
It's a secret garden, unless you come by boat.
Though plenty of boats pass by Kay's garden, it takes a trip ashore to truly appreciate its beauty. Steps leading up from the beach past plantings of red Maltese crosses, powder blue delphiniums, sunny calendula, and rose-colored hollyhocks growing right near the water's edge. Across the lawn, a bubbling boulder sits in the middle of an herb garden, and a spray of white daisies strikes a pretty contrast against a brilliant backdrop of blue. Nearby, a quiet deck is shaded by 3 towering pines, providing a secluded place to sit and watch the boats crisscross the lake. A little further from the water, hanging baskets of vibrant dahlias and petunias create a colorful haven for some curious raccoons that have been carved right into the trunk of an old tree. And hidden among the foliage, there's a playful nod to other animals that are frequent visitors to Kay's garden.
Because bears are here also. They're part of our neighborhood.
And in this garden of amazing animals, there's even a bear in the air. This bear sculpture is the latest secret to arrive in Kay's garden. It will take its place on a stump in the middle of the backyard.
They're going to use a crane, and then the crane is going to come up over the house, and he'll drop it or place it on the stump. Just makes it fun. It's supposed to be fun and a happy garden.
In a landscape of unsurpassed beauty, The secret gardens of Lake Tahoe are gentle complements to the grandeur of the spectacular mountain escape. Blending naturally with the rocks and the pines, the gardens are part of the unforgettable scenery that unfolds between the reflective waters of the lake and the brilliant Tahoe sky. Join us again next time as we explore more hidden treasures in America's most spectacular secret gardens.